All right, and our final billionaire profile is Ray Dalio. My business partner at MacroOps, Alex, his favorite hedge fund manager is this guy. He is the most successful hedge fund manager of all time. I don't have a cute little nickname for him, but it's true. The guy is an absolute beast in the money management world. That's him on the right. He founded the largest hedge fund of all time called Bridgewater. It has $150 billion in assets, and he's worth today an astounding $15.4 billion. His Pure Alpha fund, he has two. The Pure Alpha fund is now the most profitable hedge fund of all time. And there's been $45 billion extracted from the market since that fund started. Soros's Quantum is number 2 at $43 billion. Here's the list from Bloomberg. Just recently, you can see Bridgewater Pure Alpha at the top. Net gains, $45 billion since start. They took 3.3 out of the market last year. You can see Quantum below that, Appaloosa, etc. So, the macro guys are still king. They're still absolutely sitting on top of the hedge fund throne. A quick aside, oddly enough, Ray's also responsible for the creation of the Chicken McNugget, which a lot of people don't know. I didn't know until recently, but it's very interesting. He created a special hedging contract for McDonald's because the price of chicken was too volatile and they couldn't make their supply chain work. But he basically took grain markets, combined them, and made a hedging contract that allowed McDonald's to pull this off. Now, Dalio's claim to fame really in macro land is not so much the risk control like Paul. It's not so much Soros as the willingness to go and bet big. And it's not really like Jesse Livermore, who pounded the table for general conditions. But his biggest contribution to global macro was rewriting the book on fundamentals. So he's been able to model the economy like no one has ever done before. And he has this all programmed into a computer. And so his entire strategy is based off of systematic signals that come out of a computer based on these macro fundamental relationships. So for instance, he says, if this happens, then that happens. And we're going to get more in depth on his particular analysis later, because this is definitely a foundation of what we want to use in our global macro analysis to place trades. But I just want to introduce it to you guys right now, just so you know why we're profiling this guy. And again, he's evading crisis like them all. You can see the theme here. While most investors got absolutely slaughtered in the financial crisis of 2008, you guessed it, Dalio's Pure Alpha Fund returned 9.5% net of fees. And of course, everyone was puking out their guts and equities as the market crashed and was down 37% that year. I remember that was a pretty brutal year. My family was in a lot of stress. A lot of people were worrying about their retirements. They didn't know what was going to happen. And, the macro guys are faring fine. Here's the chart, just in case you guys want to check it out. It's always good to look at the charts. I like doing it. So, here's the great fall from '08 all the way down. It got particularly ugly starting here. But the macro guys, as usual, calm and collected and cool, simply just trucked on. So that's it for section 1. And here I listed the takeaways that we want you guys to really remember about this particular section. And this section is important. There wasn't any meat and potatoes into exactly how we put a trade on, but we need to know the history and how it came about, and also see the success of the strategy and of the people, so we know what we're working towards. So obviously, as you can see here, global macro's produced multiple billionaires, many billionaires, some of the richest, most successful investors of all time. And you also saw that this type of trading is very different than conventional investing, especially things like value investing or Warren Buffett style investing. But it's arguably even more successful. And finally, every single one of these guys is killing it in bear markets. We saw Livermore in the Great Depression. We saw Soros with that huge pound bear market. We saw Paul Tudor Jones, the 87 bear market. And finally, we saw Dalio with the 2008 market. So unlike most investors who really only do well in bullish conditions, macro guys can do well in both bull and bear markets.